Okay, this is the next video in our continuation of our AWS series. And in this video, we will see about the VPC, subnet, and some basic understanding about the VPC. Because generally, we miss these topics, but these are very necessary to understand. Okay, so what is Amazon VPC? This is on the official documentation. Amazon VPC is like just a virtual private cloud. Okay, so leave this definition first. So let's go to the console and search the VPC. So if you open the VPC, as soon as I open the VPC, I could see a number of options like VPC, net gateway, subnets, route tables, network ACS, internet gateway, security group. So what all are these options? And somewhere it is mentioned 00, somewhere it is mentioned 13. I have not created any of these things. So it means it looks like the AWS has created for me by default. So there are some by default VPC in each region which the AWS has been created. Okay, so there is a nice diagram on the Google only. So this will show you what is AWS cloud, what is VPC, what is subnet, what is internet gateway, what is net gateway, and when we have to use and what we have to use. Okay, so VPC is just like the virtual private cloud. It is a kind of a cloud in which you can define your own resources, but within a specific network, right? Okay, so if you look at this diagram, the outer boundary is the AWS cloud. So we have the AWS cloud, and within the AWS cloud, we have the virtual private cloud, and VPC is at the region level. So first we have the VPC. So if you go to the AWS console, we could see one VPC is created by default for us by the AWS. Because when we have to create any resources, that needs to be put in some network, and like one default VPC network is created by AWS for us. So if you go click on the VPC, and if I expand this whole region, you could see in the Europe region we have one VPC, in the Asia Pacific we have one, in Europe Paris we have one, so in London we have one. Right. So in all region specific, we have one VPC already created for us. Okay. So the outer boundary is the VPC. So VPC is the region specific. Within the region, we have the availability zones. All right. So availability zone 2A, 2B, 2C. So if you click on the okay. So within the first we have the AWS. So within the AWS we have the VPC, and VPC is at the region level. So CR region, and one VPC, that is the one default virtual private cloud, is created by Amazon for us. So till this point I think it is clear. Okay, so now the concept of the subnet, and the private subnet and the public subnet. So VPC at the region level, and within the region level we have the availability zones, and within VPC has like some kind of like the cider range, like how many uh, resources or we can put into the particular network. So if I click on this VPC, right, so this VPC is created by Amazon for us. We have not created this. So your VPC, this is your VPC, and so this is the default VPC which the AWS has been created. And if I scroll here, so you could see this is the VPC ID. Leave that, state is available. Okay, but there is a IPv4 CIDR range. So this IPv4 CIDR range is allocated to this VPC. So what is this what is the syntax of this, what is the meaning of this? So if you go to the Google and search CIDR XYZ, there is a one website. If you open it, and if you type 172.31 172.31.0.0.16, I think it's correct only. 172.31.0.0.16. So it means this VPC can contain 65,536 like you can say like EC2 instances, and the first IP should be like 172.31.0.1, 172.31.0.1, and the last will be 172.31.255.254. So this is the whole VPC. But further, the VPC is divided like internally in some partition, and those partition are called as the subnet, and these subnets are available in within the availability zones. So if I see the subnets, if I expand the subnets, we could see in some regions we have 3 subnets, in some region we have the 4 subnets, in some region we have the even 6 subnets. In the US we have the 6 subnets as well. So these subnets are like inside the VPC. You can say the like the internal partitions for the, because this is the region specific, not the like availability zone specific. So subnets are the availability zone specific. So if I click on the Europe, you could see for the Europe we have the three subnet ID, and all the subnet link with the same VPC. So within the same VPC, where is the diagram? So within the same VPC, we have the three like we have the 3 availability zones. So we have the like availability zone 1A, 1B, and 1C. Here in this diagram it is mentioned 2, but like for the Europe we have like 3 availability zones. It could be 6, like in the US case we have the 6 availability zones. All right. So if I scroll here, so one is in the like EU North, 1C, 1A, 1B, 1C. So these are the availability zones. So each subnet inside in the like one availability zones, right? And all the subnets are linked with the VPC. Okay. So and for the VPC we have this wider range. So if I click on the VPC, so first we have the VPC. So for the VPC we have this wider range like 31.0.0.16. So within the VPC only like these IP ranges are available for any resource. All right. But we have created further internal partition in form of the subnets. So when we created like 2 partition or 3 partition or 6 partition or any other partition, we can create even more partitions. All right. So whatever the partition we created, we have to allocate some range, some IP range to those subnet. But those IP range like from this IPv4 CID, like a CIDR range, because this is the whole range which is allocated to the VPC, and from this range we have to allocate the IP range to the further subnet. So if I like type 172.31.0.0.20, so 20 means, so within the first subnet we can like create 4096 EC2 instances only, and the first IP address should be this and the last IP address should be this. But in the total VPC we can have like 65,536, but in the one subnet only we have like 4096. Like even if you scroll here, like here it is mentioned 4091. And let's see the second one, 31.32.0, 31.32.0 and /20. So in this we have the 4096, but the IP address, like the first IP address get changed. So 172.31.32.1. Earlier the first one is the 0.1. Now what is that? Now 32. So now if I create an EC2 instance within this subnet, uh, the IP address of the subnet should reside between this range 172.31.32.1 to 172.31.47.254, right? Similarly for the third uh, third subnet. Okay, so that is the VPC. We have the AWS cloud. Within the AWS cloud we have the VPC, and VPC is the region level. So for the VPC, like one IP range is available, and within the VPC we have created some further like partitions. uh, that partition are called are the subnets, and we allocate some ranges to that subnet. All right, some IPv4 ranges to the subnet. Okay, so subnets are like of two types. One is the private subnet and one is the like the public subnet. So if we create any resources into the public subnet, so public subnet means like those subnets have access to the internet. So how they can access the internet? So this is our internet, like, so this is our like public subnet. So public subnet will connect with the internet gateway and will connect with the with the outer world, but private subnet cannot connect with the internet gateway. So private subnet is the private subnet, but sometimes like we want to give the access to the internet, because let's suppose if you create any EC2 instance, if you create an EC2 instance in the public network, then it's okay. You can like update any, you can install any software like pip install Flask or anything you can install from the internet, because it has the internet access. But if you create any EC2 instance into the private subnet, then because we know the private subnet doesn't have the internet access, but we want to like update our software, we want to install some software from the outer world, right? So how you can do? So so within the, if it is a private subnet, we have to create the NAT gateway. So first it will go to the NAT gateway, and the NAT gateway will connect with the internet gateway, and that internet gateway will connect to the internet. So we can see here as well. So we have the VPC. Within the VPC, we have the subnets. Okay. Now within the subnets, if you open the subnets, so where is the subnets? Within the subnets, we have the route table. So if you see this route table, so they have mentioned, okay, if you have like this IP address of if the destination is this, that is like whatever the IP address like created within this range, if the destination is this, then it will like use the local network only. But if the destination is like anything else, that is the outer world. Outer world means like internet. Then we have to use the internet gateway only. So this is the internet gateway. So we can access, we can see the internet gateway from here as well. So let me show you. So internet gateway. So internet gateway is available in all region for all the VPC. All right, because we have the AWS cloud for the, and within the AWS cloud we have like different VPC for each region. So for one VPC we have the one internet gateway, for the other region we have the different VPC, and for that is a different internet gateway. Okay, so this subnet, these are the public subnet. So it is like mentioned somewhere. So these are the like the public subnet. So this public subnet, if has to access to the internet, these have to access to the like internet gateway, and these are mentioned into the route table. Like if it is has to access any outer world, then which target it will like connect. It will connect to the internet gateways. If you click on the internet gateway, we have this, right? So internet gateway is there, and this internet gateway is already created by the AWS for us. But let's suppose if we have the, so this is the public subnet. But what about the private subnet? This is the public subnet. Okay, public subnet, we have the internet gateway and it can connect with the internet gateway. But what about the private subnet? So if we create the private subnet, and within the private subnet we create an EC2 instance, and we want that EC2 instance can install some softwares from the outer world. So how it can do that? So we have to create the NAT gateway, and we need to attach the NAT gateway with the that particular private subnet. Even if you see this like internet gateway na, so if I detach from VPC na, so this is the internet gateway. So internet gateway is for the like public subnet to connect with the internet. So this is connected, this internet, where is the internet gateway? So this internet gateway is connected with VPC ID. So if I detach this from VPC, then whatever the EC2 instance I created within this VPC network, or you can say within the subnet, that is available in the public subnet, but still it will not able to connect with the my outer world, because I have detached my VPC from the internet gateway. So if you look at this diagram, so I have the AWS cloud, I have the VPC, I have the public subnet, and within the public subnet, I have the EC2, but I have removed this internet gateway. So if I remove this internet gateway from the VPC, how it can connect with the internet? Because to connect to the internet, it should connect with the internet gateway. So if I remove the detach the internet gateway from the VPC, then it cannot connect with the my internet. Okay, but for the private subnet, we have to create the NAT gateway. So NAT, if we go to the public like this Amazon official documentation, so if you scroll down, pricing for the Amazon VPC, there are no additional charges for using a VPC. So you can create VPC. There is a one VPC created by AWS, for that is a default VPC. If you want to create one more VPC, you can create. There are charges for some VPC component, but if you create the NAT gateway, then you have to pay the charges. You can create the private subnet, that is fine, totally fine. You don't need to pay anything. But the private subnet need to connect with the internet. If then you have to create the NAT gateway, all right? And that NAT gateway, no, you need to connect. So to create the NAT gateway, you have to pay. So there are some components within the VPC for which you have to pay. So that's why by default there are no NAT gateways available. So you can create the NAT gateway if you want. So you can create the NAT gateway here. All right. Okay. So I think that's all. So you can like why we have covered this topic, because we should have some basic understanding like what is VPC and what is subnet, how what is the public subnet, what is the private subnet, how the if we created an EC2 instance, how it can connect with the internet gateway. If it is the public subnet, so it will connect with the internet gateway and then internet. If it is the private subnet and I want to update my software, I want to install some packages, then so we need the internet access, but private doesn't have the internet access. So how I can connect with the internet? So we have to connect with the NAT gateway. So these terminology as part of the basic understanding, we should know. We should know, okay, if we have the default VPC, and for the VPC there is some IP range, and if we create the a subnet within the VPC, then from this IP ranges, we have to divide to the further subnets. Okay, so that's it. That's nothing to do with the practice, because we can create the VPC, not an issue. We can create the subnet, not an issue, not an issue. But if we create the NAT gateway, then we have to pay the charges. So, but we are using the free version only, so that is fine. So that's the end of the video. Thank you.